in Southeast Asia. We work in Laos and Cambodia and would like to extend our activities a little bit more into Vietnam, as well as according to the needs of you and the partners in Vietnam. So now let me start my presentation. I would like to start with this image. I think this very much demonstrates the challenges of the 21st century, as this, I think, for me, symbolizes the mindset of people in traditional societies. In traditional societies, there is a very identified and very shared value system, a very shared hierarchy system, a very shared social system, where we all go the same way and everybody in society knows where is his place. It is like walking in the dark desert on the one way. And the people who are adventurous and go to the left and to the right to explore their own opportunities or ways of living essentially are at risk to pass away or to get damaged. And only a very few of them will discover new ways of living and new ways of society. That is in my perception, as most of us are still grown up, and as our education system nurtures us in several parts still. Whereas what we can see today is an open landscape where, with a lot of opportunities, with a lot of ways to go, with a lot of things to choose, with a lot of unknown territories open to us, and a quite unclear future. And I think this should be the starting point for us in the education system, where to prepare our youth and adults for, and to assist them to navigate to this very challenging landscape, which might not be totally in line with our human nature. And what we can see, at least we in the West, that people get confused. They lose their moral compass. They believe to alternative facts and populist opinion. And for example, in some of the Western countries, if not in all, we can see the rise of anti-science. Especially it was manifested during the pandemic, where people disbelieved in science and scientific truth. How does this translate into education? I would like to share some examples and would like to start with digitalization and artificial intelligence. Education has a lot to do here. Besides only equipping the people with the knowledge and skills to use the tools, which is, in my point of view, getting less and less important, because especially the young generation by intuition learns new tools and new formats in the digital world. But what is needed is change of mindset, nurturing more flexibility of thinking, forward thinking, autonomy of thinking, new communication skills and critical thinking. Sorry, I'm a bit sicker. And technical skills. So the main focus of the education system, in my point of view, should be on how we prepare people and how we prepare individuals on how to navigate in the digital world and in the artificial intelligence. But besides this, especially artificial intelligence transforms education and learning as well. So we in the adult learning, for example, used to an understanding of community learning centers. In the digital world, what is a community? Is a community really the people living next house, or can be the digital community located everywhere on our planet? So we have to rethink also on how, this is just one example of how we phrase and where we invest in our education and lifelong learning system to be in line with the developments of the digital world. Next example is about the world of work. Definitely, and as far as I understood, this is a topic of your conference and workshop today. There's a need for constant upskilling. Lifelong learning becomes, and I think is, a necessity in our modern world. At the same time, it is not only about equipping people with skills and competences. It is of equipping them with some abilities which enables them to learn lifelong. The first thing is learning to learn. I think our whole education system, especially in my point of view, secondary education, should nurture the abilities to learn by yourself, and not only learning by lectures of teachers. The second one is a positive attitude towards learning, what I call the joy of learning. I'm not very familiar with the situation in Vietnam, but in many countries, including my home country, Germany, many children leave the school with a negative feeling towards education. And this feeling is not really a good fundament for further lifelong learning and improvement of yourself during your whole lifetime. So I think, especially in primary education and early childhood education, as important as the topics and the content, it is important to nurture joy of learning. And the last one, and quite complex one, is the one of recognition, validation, habilitation, and recognition of prior learning. Today, not as it has been in the past, we learn through the formal education when we were young and can live out of this knowledge and skills our whole lifetime. As our life pathways, as our life journeys, the journey of our education is very complex and individual and diverse. So our education system has to create formats where the knowledge which is now gained in formal, non-formal, and informal settings of various kinds is recognized, accredited, and prior learning is recognized as well. Third one is the migration issue. As we can recognize and we see from the media and from, at least in many countries, also from the neighborhood, migration is increasing a lot in the last decade, especially in Europe and Asia. And this changes our societies and also changes the world of work, the world of living together, and creates some new challenges to us as educators, especially in the non-formal and adult education system. In these pictures, I would like to share three things or three directions we work with in our DVV system. The first is, you might be familiar that Germany is at the moment welcomes a lot of labor migrants every year, including many people from Vietnam. So support integration of these people, and not only the people but also their families, into our system is quite important. And on the image you can see a training course offered for parents and small kids from migrant communities to learn about our education system from the preschool to the secondary. Of course, it is also important to support these people when they are stuck in transit countries. On the right, on the top, you can see some sub-Saharan African students in Tunisia who learn some IT skills and life skills to be able to make their livelihoods in Tunisia itself. And in some cases, because migration is not always a voluntary decision, but based on economic situations, it could be helpful as well to support them economically with income generation and other activities in their home countries, like we do, for example, in this picture in Mala. Via the DVV system, the VHS runs as well free of charge learning system for learning German from A1 to C2 level for different kind of vocations as well, from nursery to logistics. And if anybody is invited to use it for learning German. It's available in English as well, unfortunately not in Vietnamese so far. Brings me again back to a better reflection. The Danish philosopher Lene Rachel